Right, so this is the display in middle of August, middle of summer. So we've got some Phalaenopsis and Vanda hybrids and species in full swing here. So over on the left, this is Phalaenopsis Baleena, and most of these Phalaenopsis have a very nice fragrance on them. This is another one down here with a nice fragrance. It's a Princess cattleya hybrid. Some more flowers there. That's the label there. This one here is just coming to an end. Also very fragrant. This is Violaceae indigo hybrid with Zengmin muscadine. Here we have a very cute little miniature. Get that? Does it want to focus? So this one is Sanchia appendo. Funny name. Little miniature. Really intricate detail on that. You can see it. It's amazing. But this one is not fragrant. And here, I think this one is my favourite at the moment. This one's a primary hybrid of Inscriptoensis by Amboinensis, and also very fragrant. This fragrance on this one is a little different than the others. It's kind of soapy and spicy and cinnamony. Really nice. And up here we've got the big Vanda hybrid. I think it's a Rhynchoredes. It's a Gyrac squirrel or something. It's very similar to the well-known Bangkok sunset, I think. Reminds me of that one a lot. And it does have a second spike out the back as well. You can see that up there. And that's the second spike that's coming out. Very colourful. And then got another one here which is just opening up, hasn't opened up yet. Let's say, what is it? Something blue, plume pit blue. Vandacostylus plume pit blue. That's what this one is. And then down here we've still got Paphiopedilum Kyrian Kramer, still going strong. After a couple of months, this is the second flower on it. It'll be the last flower too by the look of it. So this is Vanda Plume Pit Road. It's opened up now. I really like those buds. It's like little bombs of indigo. Really cute. And no fragrance on this one. It does have a second spike on the way over here. And this one here is Brassocatanthe, Brassavola hybrid Gyrac finch. Very nice lip on this one. No fragrance on this one either, unfortunately. Not to be outdone by the smaller paphs, we've got phals, Phalaenopsis Buddha's treasure here. Really intense coloration on this one. It's sort of reddish, violet, and the lip really intense pink. Really beautiful hybrid. So out into the greenhouse now, and got the first blooming here on this Encyclia randii. It's quite fragrant, and the fragrance does seem to vary. It's quite sweet at the moment, but at other times can be a bit odd. It's sort of the smell of mowed grass that is been put into a big heap and then left to decompose. I don't know, it's really hard to describe. Yeah, first blooming on that one, and when I bought it, I thought it was a little miniature, but it's taken about 5 years to get it up to flowering size, and hopefully in the coming years it's gonna put on a better display. Another one which has just flowered recently is this cattleya. It did flower while I was away, so I didn't really get to see it in person, unfortunately. But this is Cattleya Harold semi-alba by Labialta semi-alba, and I was wondering if that was going to be a semi-alba, and it was. So very good. They got the genetics right on that. I'm not sure how it all works, but well done. So I've got a couple of more cattleyas which look like they're going to be flowering soon. So this little one here is Christelle Smith, very colourful little miniature hybrid with only 3 species in it, one of which is Sophronides coccinea. That's a very nice one, and that's flowered already a couple of times. And this one here, which is Japanese Beauty, also has a little flower bud in the sheath, so this one should also be flowering soon. There's also something I can just feel in the base of this old sheath here, which is starting to come up. This is Labiata by Harrisonii, primary hybrid. We've got the big one here with a huge sheath on it, and something is happening in there. This one's got a double sheath, so there must be, I guess, the Labiata influence. But there's something coming through there, so I think I can see it that well. I think this one will be coming into flower. This one got a bit burnt as well. You can see the leaf there got burnt. I've been growing very, very bright this year. That's the adjustment that I've made to try to keep the cattleyas happy, and I think, yeah, I've kind of found the limit of how bright you can get it. But one of the things I did was I changed, so this was the old stuff that was on the roof, this milk PVC sheet, I'm not sure what it's called exactly, but I replaced that with a clear one, so that lets through probably twice as much light. And this corner of the greenhouse here is the really bright corner, so yeah, it's interesting to see that some of the cattleyas can take a lot more light than others, and it's not always the ones that you would necessarily expect. So and also they seem to also take more light than some of the Vandas even. So all of that about Vandas liking more light than cattleyas, it really varies from species to species, and maybe even from plant to plant. I've also got a couple of paphs coming into bloom, one of which is this Charlie, with two blooming plants. So that would have been 2 seedlings, I guess, in the same pot, growing next to each other. I understand that from Julie, Julie told me that it takes a very long time for these flower spikes to mature and eventually open up. Could be looking at 6 months. I guess the flowers have already been in there for probably 6 or 8 weeks. But yeah, so that's coming along. And another one we got down here is this little Leucocylum. It's in bud. Never flowered this one before, so very interested to see how that one goes. Alright, so this is 3 Cattleya labiata plants here. I thought it's interesting to take a look, see how they're going. So this one on the left is the Labialta semi-alba garganta escura from Orchids and More. I've had this since since June last year, so a little bit over a year. And this one is growing really well. So first it grew this leaf last year, and then this year a much bigger one, and this is really sort of like the textbook how you want your plants to grow. And I think Labialta is one of the easier cattleyas, and yeah, so you can really see the incremental growth each year, getting much bigger. Very uncomplicated plant to grow for the unifoliate cattleyas. I think it's really recommended, and the hybrids, the primary hybrids with Labialta, are also very vigorous. This is another one, Semi-alba carnea. This one from March last year, so about a year and a half I've had it, and also has grown very vigorously. And this is the growth this year, wider, longer leaf than previous year. So yeah, this one it's done well, and probably this would have been a Brazilian import. And this is another one which is another Brazilian import. This is a more recent import, Labialta Rubra, and this one hasn't really established yet. You can see the pseudobulbs very dehydrated. It's not able to hydrate itself, doesn't have any roots. I've had it for 6 months, or 5 months, so it's a bit of a worry that it's still in this condition. I would have hoped that it would have put on some roots by now, but we can see that none of these Labialtas are in active root growth at the moment, so probably when these ones start to put on roots, this one will also start to put on roots if it makes it that far. So hopefully that'll be in the next month or two. And but this does have a growth, but you can see it's going to be a small growth. This one is a primary hybrid of Labialta by Ludemaniana. Ludemaniana is the species from Venezuela, and you can see just how crazy the root growth is on that. So it really likes a lot of moisture in the summer, and I think these primary hybrids are very vigorous. So if you're looking to get into unifoliate species, then I think I would really recommend some some primary hybrids. There's the new growth coming out there, and yeah, this is the approach which I'm using also for instance here we've got Purpurata carnea, similar setup. It's coming into growth now after growing this nice long leaf last year. Yeah, they seem to like this approach. You can control the amount, well, they get a lot more airflow this way, and I just leave them sitting in sort of like a little puddle of water which dries up, and that allows the plants to really hydrate themselves without staying too wet while still getting the airflow over the roots. So I think this works quite well for the juvenile plants. I thought I'd just show my Cattleya walkeriana as well. I thought this is funny to see what's happened here, because this little bit broke off when I repotted it, so I put that into a kind of a sphagnum mix, and this one I thought, yeah, walkeriana really wants to dry off quickly and all that sort of stuff, keep it quite dry. But actually the little bit that I put into a sphagnum based moss mix has actually done much better than the one that I was keeping drier. So now I'm making more of an effort to try to really hydrate this one as well. See, it has tried to put out some roots, but they're kind of, well, there's a root going down the side there. I think it'll be all right, but yeah, it's just quite fascinating that this little bit here is actually done much better in the sphagnum. And the way I'm growing these little seedlings is actually in a seedling tray just from the garden centre, and I put the plants back into there, and they've got a bit of moisture in them when I put it in, so the moisture sort of drips through underneath, so there's a little reservoir of moisture, and you can see a lot of the roots start to grow down looking for that moisture. So this is a primary hybrid with Warneri and Weisswitziana, I think it is. This was also a little piece that broke off another one, and this is just the root growth from, I don't know, probably 6 months or something. What was it? I can't can't read it. I can't even read my own handwriting. I think 6 months probably. They're the roots. You can see they're going crazy there. And another one here. What is it? Is it this one? Yeah, similar setup. This is Labialta Zip, which is a really cool hybrid of Milleri and tenebrosa. And yeah, the roots have just gone crazy in this setup. Yeah, 6 months that is. So it's interesting to play with different setups, and I'm always trying new things out, and this is a setup which the seedlings are really appreciating. You can see the leaves here coming out. This is Canamiana, this is Persevalliana, Maxima. What's that? This is Triani Sangratore. This one, new. All growing very well in this setup. So yeah, they do like a good amount of moisture in the summer, and with this setup, well, you can also the main reason why I did it actually was to stop knocking them over all the time, because I was continuously knocking them over. This holds them in place, but it has the added advantage of being able to provide a little reservoir. Look, here's a little Gascalliana. You can see the roots on that. Yeah. So they really like this setup. Apologies for the neighbours. I think he's rebuilding his roof on a Saturday for some reason. This is my golden zell. It's also got a sheath on it with buds in it. You see it there. So this will also be coming into flower. Just a little update on my Paphiopedilum ferianum. So it was without roots, more or less. So I put it into a bit of sphagnum moss, and I don't know if you can see it that well, but there are some little growths in there, 2 growths at the base of the plant. Very difficult to see, but very little ones, and the leaves have regained some turgidity, so they're kind of firm, or firming up a bit instead of completely floppy. This leaf is not completely floppy anymore. So yeah, it has recovered somewhat, but it still has a long way to go, a long way. Has to grow some nice roots. And I repotted a couple of other paphs lately which weren't doing anything much, and discovered the same thing. The roots were gone. So yeah, this is a recurring theme with the paphs. Some of them do well. I mean, probably half of them are doing well. This is another one which I just put into a bit of sphagnum. The roots are pretty much gone, hadn't been growing, so I thought, oh, what's going on? Took it out, and yeah, the roots were gone. Just a tiny little bit of root left on it. So I'm going to try the same trick on that one, see how it works. But whereas this one, on the other hand, did have quite nice roots, and the ones which are flowering or coming into flowering all have good roots. So I'd say probably about half of them are doing really well, and the other half are struggling. So I guess that's Paphiopedilums are much more diverse than cattleyas, I think, in terms of the culture, the requirements. Some of them probably have fairly specific requirements at specific times of year. Yeah, so that's a challenge, and I don't mind. I mean, that's all part of the process of learning how to grow them. Sometimes you have to kill a couple of them before you figure it out, or just give it up and grow something else. There's plenty of other things out there to try.